Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Rampage. It's nice to be here. We're 48 hours out to ending our Kickstarter, Hoard of Gondal. It's been an exciting time. We've raised 150K already, which is amazing, and thanks to you. We're here today for a Q&A session with you. And before that, I'll welcome, as always, lovely Dav, our director at Mammoth Factory, and Daniel, our head writer. And there's some fun updates to have, but before we do that, Dav, why don't you just give a quick introduction of what the Kickstarter Hoard of Gondal is all about?
Hello, everyone. So today we're going to go over many things, but we're going to try to also keep it a bit short because live streams can go forever. So we're going to try to keep it within the 20-30 minute mark. We're going to go over some important updates, and we're going to tell you a little bit about the company. It's our 2 years birthday. We're going to thank some people. We're going to show some minis and painted minis. And we're just gonna and there's also, of course, the Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, please do let us know. Also, I think on the screen right now it's showing pounds because most of us, or some of us, are in England, but the company is actually in the US because our third partner, the sculptor David, is in California, so the company is US based, but some of us are in England, so it's showing in pounds, but it's actually of course, in US dollars, and it actually doesn't actually matter. Um, so first, thank you for being here. We are going to. So the first update that is important. We have decided to, because we broke 100K, we decided to give the Foundry module to everyone that has backed from the Digital Mammoth tier and higher. So everybody who is in these tiers, you just get the Foundry VTT bundle because it's awesome, and because I mean, honestly, I think we kind of miscalculated some prices at the beginning, and we want people to have it, so we decided, why not? Let's just give it to the people, to our backers, because you're awesome. So thank you for that. A little bit about the campaign. So, if for you guys who don't know what the campaign is, the Hoard of Gondal is a campaign that has 200 premium miniatures. Ta-da! Look at these; they're so cool. And we're gonna go over many more miniatures. It's a whole campaign book that has 8 different 5e adventures that string into one campaign, but are also a library of themes, general fantasy themes. We have custom dice and magic item cards and character cards, and you can either just kind of go through the different settings that we have there and use them as you like and plug them into your game. Each of the adventures is like a 4 to 6 shot kind of standalone that you can put in any campaign or any world, but they're also very nicely strung into a big epic campaign. And this campaign is all about the treasure. And some Daniel might say, some treasure is the friends we make along the way. But we say no, treasure is treasure. It depends at what point you read, because gold is actually important for this big story, and that's kind of not obvious. So the campaign kind of starts where you're looking for treasure, and you're trying to find this legendary hoard that was lost to time. And why is it lost to time? Why is there a dragon trapped in his own hoard? And is he still alive? Is he not? And that's kind of what you think when you join this campaign and when you do that. But actually, there's a hell of a lot more going on in there. Different factions, different empires that went down to make sure this deadly Dragonlord stays in his cage, which was his own hoard that they trapped him in. It's a cool story. But the real story is actually, why are you finding the hoard, and who helps you along the way, and why are they helping you? And maybe spoilers, if anybody doesn't want to know, stop listening. But there are things that happen that help you to get into the hoard, and they unleash an even bigger evil than this dragon lord after you hopefully kill the dragon lord. So yeah, so a little bit about the company. We are just celebrating 2 years. Daniel, you want to say something? No. Okay. So we're celebrating 2 years. It's been a crazy um, time really for us, and having the 2 year celebration exactly when Halloween happens, and then Black Friday happens, and then Christmas happens. It's all quite and that will happen every year. So I guess we need to get used to that. But we started just the three of us. Me, Daniel, and David. Lucas joined very quickly after. And we made, I think it was 15 or 16 minis for our first set, and we released them on Patreon, and we released an adventure. And I remember when we started at the beginning, the three of us were doing everything, and the amount of content we were releasing was just insane. But we were very ambitious, and we wanted, like, yeah, let's gain 100 Patreon every month for a year, and we did it somehow in a really competitive market. And then we each have our own set of skills, but we're just very grateful, because we couldn't have done it without our patrons and our backers. So you let us, I think it's every D&D's person nerd's dream to be like, oh, yeah, I have this game, let's turn it into a product, right? And we just kind of did that, which was hilarious. Thank you, COVID. Ooh, in a weird way. Yeah, just let us kind of take our ideas. And Daniel is an amazing writer, and David is an amazing sculptor. And that kind of combination together, I guess, with me doing some story and some business stuff as well, we've done. Yeah, we just let it come to fruition. Again, without your support, would never happen. So yeah, we just wanted to talk about a few other things. Sorry, I'm just kind of hijacking things. Is that okay, Lucas, that I just keep rolling?
No, that is completely fine. We have
Okay,
then
cool.
the Q&A after.
So we have the minis. We also have like a back end camera that can show you some minis. So with some magic, it's just going to happen. We're just going to start showcasing minis while I keep talking about stuff. There we go. That's a bum of a spider. But yeah, basically,
Beautiful one.
wanted to show our first book, because we don't have the second book, of course, because we don't have it sent to print yet, because we're still finalizing some of the text. But yeah, most of the text for the second book has been written and has been playtested by us internally. Me, Daniel, and Lucas actually were in that playtest because we playtest every month, and not every month, every week for 4 or 5 hours. We meet and we play, and we try not to TPK. Hey, that's a phrase. And that made our first book, and then we made our second book, and we are already currently actually playtesting our fourth book and our fourth Kickstarter. But yeah, the first book was amazing. This is the first book from the first Kickstarter. We're super proud of how we shipped it. That was a hell of a journey to learn how badly DHL, I shouldn't be shaming companies, shipping companies are pretty shit when it comes to sending books. So we've experimented for a while and added these book protectors, so to make sure
Which
that which were really awesome. And we've had zero cases of damaged corners, at least none reported. And we have asked for feedback, so people were super happy with it. I think we have some images of that. Maybe we can show that. Wizard man in the background. If you can find it, you can show it for a second. That would be nice. So over 1,000 books made and shipped, and happy backers. And yeah, Rampage. Hello, Raiden. Nice to have you here. Yay! Oh, it's so nice to have so many people writing. Yeah, and we have, and after we play tested, we also take it to our Discord community and Patreon and Tribes community, and Kickstarter backers as well are actually playtesting with us. So we playtest every week, and with different DMs, but also with Lucas. Lucas is one of my favorite DMs, so he's doing
Thanks.
incredible work, just rechecking that the story works, that the stat blocks work, that the minis work. We have a painting community where people paint and post stuff and ask for feedback on like how to fine tune 3D print settings, because there's 3D printing settings. So yeah, very lively community, very kind of there we go. Look at them zombies. We have a very kind of yeah, it's a very much a collaborative effort, and we're actually trying to make the collaborative effort even more collaborative by starting to release these feedback forms every month as well. Anyway, that I'm getting off topic here. So the other thing that we want to talk about is the resin and the why are we doing industrial resin? Why are we not mass manufacturing? And the truth is, for those who know, if you wanted to make a miniature like this, for example, this is one of the guys from, I don't know if you can see him. If I go really close, maybe it zooms on my face. So this is one of the guys, just one of the minis. This is a 75 millimeter scale, of course. But if we take one of these and we try to make a mold for that for mass production, just the mold itself will be anywhere from $400 to $1,500 just for one mini. So if you had take that and you do that times 200 designs where this intricate and this detailed, that would be millions. I don't know how much. Somebody do the math, but it's a lot of money that we can't. And if we made millions on this Kickstarter, which was never the plan, we would have loved to make molds for every these and mass produce them and put them in all stores. And maybe at some point it will happen in the future. For some of
Sometime
the
in the
favorite,
future.
for some very the best products that people love the most, maybe we'll put them in the future. We are kind of discussing it and trying to figure out how to do that. But for this Kickstarter, to be able to give you this amount of miniatures, we had to go for 3D printing and for industrial resin. And industrial resin, this is going to be the thing I'm scared about. So this is the model I showed to show the strength of the industrial resin. I'm going to do this live, which is very scary. You can see how strong it is. And I've been doing this a lot for a lot of videos. But yeah, it's definitely very flexible, very strong resin that I can drop. I'm not going to drop, but I
No
can drop.
Cybertruck
I can drop
fiasco.
and I can handle very strongly, and it does not like break or like anything. It's very. It's not the typical thing you'll be able to print at home with 3D printers. It's definitely stronger and super detailed and beautiful and takes paint really well. And we just love this industrial resin. Um, and so we can print on demand. However, that does mean that it's, of course, a hell of a lot pricier for us to produce. So this price tag that we have per set, that is $150 per set, is actually an incredible price. It costs us somewhere between 75 and 150 usually to produce one of these sets. So the fact that our profit margins on this are not high, I'll tell you that. Um, so for sure, it's really great to have this ability thanks to Only Games. Only Games are the guys who are producing these minis for us, and they're really helpful. And their production has seen a lot of ups and downs, but they're really stepped up in the last recent years. They've been really getting their stuff together. Here's also a 20. I think I should show one of these 32 millimeter models.
Oh yeah, please.
Come on, camera, you can do it. Maybe not, maybe yes. Kind of. I
Hmm.
think there's an image of this on the Kickstarter as well. So you can see this is the 25 versus the 75. YOLO. Look at this. He's so small. But yeah, so this is for painters. This is for players, D&D, or Warhammer. There's also other people who play wargaming. And there's some. Do we have? I don't know. Maybe that's more book 3. I'm getting confused with. We make so much stuff. We make like I don't know 30 minis a month. I'm getting off
Yep.
topic here. So in short, I don't think there will ever be a time where you can get these packs for this cheap. Um, this is just the truth. It's just because it's mass production. Oh my God, look at that. That's amazing. I'm getting distracted. Why? Why? Yes, it's Sean. These are really great. I love this. So Sean is a Gray Scalp miniatures. He's from YouTube and he's a friend of ours and helps us a lot. So he's taking care of all these, showing all these minis. You can wave in the camera if you want, Sean. Say hello. Uh, I don't know if he sees if he's here. Yeah, there we go. He's waving. Okay, good. So yeah, so all these minis are of course included in the Kickstarter. Um, so yeah, so if you have a 3D printer, it's a killer deal. I think it's over 75% discount to get those 200 miniatures, which are in the bundle, which of course come with a PDF and everything. And if you don't have a 3D printer, then definitely getting these either the um, character pack or the hero pack or any of the individual minis that are included in the deluxe box. I think it's from Core Box, Deluxe Box, and Mega Mammoth all have a few packs in them. But there's also the individual packs. So if you're like, hey, I really like the Saurian Isles that has the dragon. I should have shown this earlier, shouldn't I? So this is Ghaundal. He's stuck in his hoard and he eats gold, and because he's been eating gold, his breath weapon is molten gold, which is a terrifying concept. I don't know if you ever fought anything in lava, but he creates 60-foot cone of molten gold, which is terrifying, and very deadly and fun. And I think we actually did TPK in the first playtest. Did we? I
Maybe.
don't know. Anyway, we fixed it. It's balanced now. It's fun. Yes. What else am I missing? We've talked
Nothing
about.
really. We can pretty soon go over the Q&A if you want to.
Yes. I feel like it's gone by too quickly, but maybe not.
No, it's fine.
Yeah. I do want to tell a little bit more about the story of the actual campaign and what you go through in a bit more detail. But we can
Mhm.
take a few questions. Do we have a few
Yeah,
questions?
I've got a one connected question, and that was related to the story, and that was the question how, especially the Astral Voyage
Mhm.
campaign that's by Flameburn, how that connects into the rest, because
Great
like the
question.
whole Spelljammer thing feels a bit disconnected from the rest of the
Absolutely.
narrative.
Absolutely. So when we were as we were writing this campaign, Spelljammer came out, and we were like, we gotta do something. Also, gifts are cool. I mean, look at this guy. He's so cool. I don't know if you can see him. Sean, if you can show some cool GIF minis or something. I don't think you have the ship, but you have some other stuff, I'm sure. So it's a great question. So when we were planning this campaign, it was supposed to be a campaign in which a lot of people can use in many different settings. We wanted a flexible product that is also epic, but also can be used for most people in fantasy settings. There we go. That's from Astral Voyage. Yeah, badass. So when we first started to think about how do we fit that in, we wanted it to be like as a non-essential story. So there are some of the adventures there are optional. So this is actually a good that, correct me if I'm wrong, Daniel, right? This one is optional
This
now.
one is optional, yeah.
Originally, when we were writing this, we kind of forced it in a little bit. So I think the
Mhm.
original releases of that um, it was baked into the story, and the way we did it is one of these ancient empires that is one of three. There were three empires that came together to put the Dragonlord stuck in his hoard, right? This is way, way, way before this time. And so each of the empire has one key, and they kind of point at each other, so you can find the different MacGuffins to open the hoard and find the hoard. This is the Dragonlord, yes. And originally the idea was that it was elves and dark elves or some different elves and a bunch of humans and barbarians, and they all had a different part in putting the dragon in his cage of sorts.
His
Um,
timeout.
his timeout, yeah, because he was unkillable, if I remember correctly. It's
Yeah.
part of the lore, and this is why it was hard to destroy. But yeah, and the idea was that these thought eaters, these creatures from beyond, came and were searching for this item, the Tradrion, which is one of the three pieces you need to open to open the Great Hoard. And the idea is that they stole it while they were raiding the elves for other reasons. So you had to kind of go there and follow, even though. So you went looking for elves in the dark. Elves in the dark. That sounds weird, right? On stream, awkward. And then you. I lost my train of thought now.
So you
So
get mind
yeah,
whammied basically down in
yes,
in below the earth, and you just eventually wake up aboard a mind flare ship, and you're like,
it's not a mind
where
flare.
are we?
It's
Like,
it's it's a it's a squid people,
squid
thought
people.
eater ships,
Yeah,
that are similar potentially to
very similar.
mind thingies, and so, but they are actually different technically by
This is true.
lore, by name, but they kind of look similar and they behave a bit similar. But you wake up with this thing stuck in your head, but basically, to answer the question in a short way, um, it's technically an optional adventure. It's a higher level adventure. It used to be at 7th level, and I think we moved it to 9th, and it's kind of a stopgap. So the way the adventures are written, you can kind of play with it or without it, and it's nice. And it did feel also to us a little bit like, does everybody like space
Yeah.
and stuff like that? Even though it's an amazing adventure, we kind of wanted to make sure that it's an optional thing. And in the lore as well, after you break the dragon, after you kill or be killed by the dragon horde and you get the loot or not, there is a 1 or 2 year time skip in which you can search for other things, and the other things you need to research for different reasons. And then exactly, some people in the comments are being very funny. um, and this is gonna stay online forever. This is awkward. Yeah, so basically, yeah, optional but fantastic, and definitely a great little adventure. And of course, all of our adventures actually can totally be used as standalone. It's very important for us when we write these
Mm.
that you can use them in a campaign, but they can also be used completely as a standalone, as a 4 to 8 shot. I mean, realistically, players maybe 10 shot. I don't know.
That might
Yeah.
be a good segue to relate a question by Jonathan, maybe for you, Daniel, that they can be standalone, but there's still like villains and characters that go through if you want to, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. So there's, I mean, a few of these adventures actually kind of visit the same place, and there's a lot of kind of in between lore as well that you can pack in if you want, right? And yeah, there's kind of optional villains and characters that thread between each of these adventures, right? Um, like the main bad guy.
Yes.
Turns out been quite a few of them.
Yeah, and of course, yeah, we are currently uh, going through the character cards, and there's some more prominent characters and more like side characters, and we're kind of deciding which of them deserve a card and art and all that kind of stuff. It's a bit, there's a lot, and we're trying not to make it overwhelming, so that you don't even know where to start. But yeah, it's really great, and we're actually really excited to have these cards. But we're making the art for them now, so we're going through that. Is there any other questions?
Yeah, a related art question by Warren, and that is for the paper minis, how those work, right? Because especially it was interesting. Let me see, how Paizo does it, where you have like thick printed paper you can use it for, and like how do our paper minis work, and what's the intention?
Great question. So one of the kind of things that we believe in as a company is to play anywhere and in any way you prefer. And some people like minis and some people don't. Some people play online. And because this campaign doubles as a theme library, right, of one shots, or not one, six shots, right? So a theme library and a campaign, we believe that actually a large amount of people probably won't play this as a campaign. So and this is one of the other reasons that the people who really want everything can get the minis, can get everything, or can play online or whatever works for them. But the paper minis, we believe that actually printing just paper and shipping paper is a bit maybe unnecessary for most people. So we decided to just go with printable PDFs. However, they are really, really nice because they are designed to have the exact amount of paper minis that you need for the adventure. So, for example, in Flesh to Stone, which is the third arc, yes, third arc, there are a certain amount of minis that we've made. Here we go. We have one of them here. This is Hurungar. Am I pronouncing this right, Daniel? I think Hurungar.
You are? Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
He's a stone flesh orc shaman. Very, very deadly, very awesome. And he's actually not that deadly, but his orc tribe is deadly. And he has great motivation and great story. But in any case, there's one of him, obviously. And I think we've designed 5 different minis for it. But in the actual adventure, you need maybe like 30 orcs at some point, depending if chase scenes or there's all sorts of stuff. So if you need a lot more orcs, that PDF is ready to go. So if you just press print on the PDF, you have everything you need to run the adventure. Just go. and you just need to take a little bit of like a coin or a standee page. So depending how much you like it, they can laminate really well and be held in these kind of standee pages that you can get from Amazon. But yeah, the idea was we were considering to do the cardboard stuff, but again, it makes shipping so, like, imagine it's not 200 miniatures, right? To do cardboard miniatures and 200 of them, it would be way more because of all the duplicates that you need in different places. So it would have been a nightmare to ship and produce, and again, like I said, most people probably use only some of these stories. No, I don't know if most, but like a 50-50 split. So we decided against it just because of, again, the sheer amount of minis. I do want to mention as well that uh, from book 4 onwards, we are planning to have less things per campaign, exactly, so that we could potentially mass produce it or have these kind of cards for all the minis, so like cardboard minis, and all that kind of thing. So it is in the plan, and we're trying to learn from our ambitious mistakes of making too much stuff. Hopefully that answers the question.
No, that is good. It might be the last one, but maybe another trickles in, and that might be also just a fun one by Jonathan, which is let's focus it on Hoard of Gondal. Which is your favorite NPC that comes? Maybe just in one adventure, maybe one that has a through line. Do you have a personal favorite?
I'm going to redirect this right at you, Lucas, because you played there.
Ooh, I did. I'm bad with
Oh,
names,
we
but
did
what
change
is
the name since you played.
exactly
So
like I'm bad with names? What is just the main quest giver that you meet in Marillion, which is the main city of this?
Ismay?
no, he means the
The
Duke.
Lord,
Oh,
the
the
Duke.
Duke Solander.
Solander. Yeah,
Yeah.
Solander.
Oh, yeah.
He's
Because he's very interesting because he has like a bit of a tragic backstory that you might not really realize at the first time, and you meet him again and again as you complete your quest of finding the pieces to open the hoard. And while you piece it together, you can also piece together his background, his motivation, and then either you start to trust him or you think maybe he has his own motivations, and that can then shape the whole campaign. So I really enjoy his arc.
Daniel, do you have a favorite character?
Whew.
I have
Brenna,
one.
I respect her
Really?
cardio game.
That's not a real answer.
Freelancer, I know who your favorite is, Nav.
You do?
I can guess, but let's see. Favorite NPC throughout the whole thing. Um, I gotta say, I really liked writing Tyron Plazoplius, the
Yes.
who's in Astral Voyage actually, little penguin guy. He's fun.
Nice. There are more questions coming, which is great.
Mhm.
For me, the best character, I think, is Splech.
I knew it.
Yes,
Yeah.
Splech is a kind of lost soul, not lost soul. He's a human that was infected by some crazy rat mutagen disease that is found in the sewers in the first adventure. And he's a bit nuts, and he's hilarious, and he kind of helps you and kind of doesn't. Which we try to make a lot of NPCs like that. That it really depends how you treat them.
Yeah.
So
A lot
players
of
be
wild
nice.
factors.
Yeah, wild cards. I like wild cards. Um, yeah, and just to just to add a little bit more to the Duke. So in the first adventure, you're kind of just random heroes doing cleanup goblin stuff, kind of. I mean, there's a bit more to it. There's a really cool goblin lore that we made our own, and how Ettins are created and all this kind of thing. It's a completely different lore than the normal goblin lore, which we really like. And then you get a bit of reputation, and you hear that this duke in Marillion, the only big city in this points of light setting. Maybe I should explain what points of light is. ADHD, guys, jumping from thing to thing. So a points of light setting means that there is that humanity isn't in control. that there are many more monsters and savage things throughout the lands that there are people, and there are only a few strongholds, at least in the known world, let's call it. Imagine Fog of War in a computer game, right? There's one main city and a bunch of other cities, and there are some towns and villages, and everybody has walls and fences because it's dangerous. It's dangerous to travel from place to place, and it makes it for a much more interesting kind of wild environment, which is great. Um, so so yeah, so after you gain some reputation in the Goblin adventure, you hear that so everybody that starts the campaign, if you're playing the campaign, has this want or need to find the Hoard for whatever reason. And this is a nice thing to kind of workshop with your players if you're the DM, to try to give them motivation to find the Hoard, whether it's gold or power or a certain magic item, or your half of your souls of their ancestors is trapped in something, or I don't know, maybe you just like shiny things. Who knows, right? Or something more sinister, which you'll need to read about to find out. Technically, that could be a weird one, right? Maybe that's interesting.
Could be interesting,
Um,
yeah.
anyway, so you want to find this Hoard. This is part of the motivation of the characters. That's what brings the characters together. And you learn that this Duke in Merillium, the biggest human stronghold, has some information in it. The Duke is one of 5 chairs, so there are 5 chairs that rule Merillium. Together as a council, and he is the one that there's a rumor that he has some knowledge of where the Hoard is, or how to find it, or something like that, or a map, or you're not sure. The problem is that you get to his place and you try to get an appointment with him, and he's not taking any answers because something tragic has happened. So you need to gain his attention by trying, and you try and you try and you try and you can't. And then there's this massive rat folk raise, that's not the word I'm looking for, um,
Right.
uprising, that they come from the ancient Merillium, which is the city under a city from a long time ago, and they attack and they kidnap the Duke's son. And that's your opportunity to prove yourself to the Duke so that you can get his attention. So you go into the sewers, and that's the arc of the second arc, which is Vermin Horde, in which you try save the sun. There is a fail state, and we try to include fail states in all the adventures. And you can't technically bring Justice Barter if you're not fast enough, and if you're not careful enough. He does turn into. Oh, I think we have. Do you have, Sean, access to the wretch? Do you have it? We can show it. Does he turn into that? I think he turns into
He
that.
does turn into that, yeah.
Yeah. There's a magical crystal thing that can turn you also into rat folk, which is pretty damn awesome. There's a bunch of other questions. So yeah, basically we
Yeah.
try to tie in everything like that in the campaign,
Mhm.
but of course you can just play it as an interesting rescue mission. That's
Yeah.
a good example of that.
Yeah, since we want to keep this bit brief and we hit the half-hour mark, this might just be a nice thing to reiterate that, like, the Foundry VTT is now new, and, like, again, Nadav, what pledged here gets it? Like, at what
Right.
level do you get that?
Right. We can also take, if there's a few more questions, we can take. But
That
yeah,
is like the one main question, yeah.
right. So I saw also another question about the PDF. So the Foundry conversions that include um, dynamic walls and clickable stat blocks that roll the dice, and a journal that has all the stories and the art that you can show your players, and all this kind of awesome stuff. We really and effects, and like the Foundry conversions are really awesome. I think there's a GIF somewhere way down after the digital mammoth, Sean. So if you go to the where is it? Not stretch goals, it's in the tiers. So if you go to tiers, why is tiers? Oh, you can click on the left on tiers to jump to tiers. Yeah, exactly. And then under digital mammoth, if you go down, there is a video of the Foundry thing we can show. Down. Somewhere under digital mammoth. There we go. Yes, we know it's a long campaign. We know. There we go. That's the video. Yeah, it basically what we've been talking about. So that Foundry bundle that has all 8 adventures in it, it costs $69 as an add-on, and we decided to give it to everyone from Digital Mammoth and higher. So
Mhm.
Digital Mammoth, Core Box, Book and STL, Deluxe Box, and Mega Mammoth. All of these tiers get it for free, which it wasn't
It's a
before.
nice addition, yeah.
Yes. So the savings were already bonkers, but we decided, like, why not? We want more people to have that, and it's a really nice experience to have the book and to have the Foundry together, so you can do a mix of digital and non-digital, or however you want to use it. Um,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
There was another question about the PDF. So just to answer that, um, the PDF has it just has everything you need. So the PDF has multiple pages, right? I don't know if we probably should have shown it, but yeah, not a lot of people use paper minis. I like them, but yeah, basically PDF has a bunch of pages. So let's say you need, I don't know, 10 orcs. You have one page that has 5, and then another page that has another 5, and you get exactly the amount of, let's say it's 10 orcs in the adventure. You get exactly 10 orcs ready to print. So if you just take the PDF and you click print, it prints all the monsters that you need for any combat situation in the adventure.
Nice.
Also,
Yeah.
colored and non-colored version. So if you have kids, or you just like coloring, I don't know why I said kids, but if you like, I guess kids like coloring things, I don't know, but if you have kids, or if you just like coloring things, you can technically print it also line art and draw it on black and white.
Yeah. Let's just end it with the last question, which we maybe can also show in the tiers, is what's now in the Mega Mammoth, just to get an idea of
Right.
what you can get. Maybe just like not everything, but just get a brief idea if you
course.
go for the highest, what you can get.
Yes, so the Mega Mammoth has a lot of stuff in it. Are we on the radio? No, that's the book. And keep scrolling forever, forever. Okay, there we go. Mega Mammoth has the deluxe box, which is very cool. It has the deluxe hardcover book that
Which is
we're.
fantastic.
It's super cool. Yes, we're so
Mm.
happy with it. It has a industrial resin version of this bad boy. Um, who is amazing, and he's this big. I don't know if you can see how big he is compared to my face, but he's standing on gold, and there's a treasure chest there. Really, really fantastic model. I think it's one of my favorite, if not my favorite.
Mm.
Uh, that's him, and then there is the Etin from the first adventure, which is this kind of. Oh, I think you're scrolling up. There we go. The Etin is a really, really cool giant Etin, because he's actually technically 75 millimeter base, which normal Etins are 50. But we also have the 50 version pre-supported for anybody who has the 3D printers, but this version is the 75. So if you want just a normal Etin for your normal adventures, you have him also in 50. Then we have the Thought Eater Overseer, which is the main baddie from Astral Voyage, and then we have the Silverback Owlbear and Owlbear Cub, who are they're kind of the inciting incident in Wild Hunt. There is a dispute between
Mm.
these savage elves and humans that live on the outskirts of this magical fey forest, and uh, because the humans attack this magical creature, the elves revolt, and like there's this big like, you've disrupted the peace of something like this pact that we had 1,000 years ago, and the humans are like, you what now? Like, we don't remember any pact, and the elves are like, yes, the sacred pact, and basically there's this kind of, it could become quite dangerous. And there is so that's from Wild Hunt, and then there's I think it's the hero pack, which are 5 fantastic characters, some with original races that we've made. For example, the Saurian Mad Lad there. There is the Karakali, which is our version of kind of cat people, I guess. Um, there is the Gith, there's the Blade Dancer. So it's a really cool party if people want to just use this as a party, of course. There is the character cards that I've mentioned before, which are really, really handy. It shows you their motivation, their background, their equipment. Some of them have descriptions, some of them have like other things, but it's a really easy kind of like, you can show your players or you can show yourself. There is the magic item cards. Some magic item cards are more than one card, and we tried to prevent doing that as much as possible. But some of the magic items are really cool, and if they're cool, they take a lot of text. So we're trying to get those, and they're really really beautiful, and we're drawing them at the moment. There is the GM screen, which is going to have a lot of different things for all the different 8 territories and different mechanics that are in throughout the campaign. And then there is the character pack. These are some of the main characters that you meet or fight throughout this campaign. Some of them are villains. Some of them are definitely people who are helping you. Some people, depends on how you treat them. Some are kind of crazy. So there's that. The Mega Mammoth also has 5 Magma Mammoth dice, which are my favorite dice. We designed them ourselves from scratch. I know it sounds obvious, but it's our first dice, so we're very proud of it. And then there's the Sharp Edge dice, which are what are they called? Cosmic Mammoth dice, which are very pretty. And then there is the world map, of course, which is the first time us as a company releasing a world map. It's technically a regional map because the world is much bigger, but we will also be releasing a world map on the other side of that map. So it's the first
Nice.
time that anybody from our first book, so you will suddenly know where all these 8 adventures fit in the rest of the world. It's a good point to note that these 8 adventures in book 1 actually can fit in if you want to just flesh out campaign 2, this campaign. You can use any of these adventures to splice in between, because these are they are by level, and they go from level 4 to 11. Each adventure goes by level. If we didn't, I think we didn't mention that. So each level is like a milestone, and then you can take these and you can splice them into anywhere. Yes, they are definitely, you can use any of these in that campaign. Yes, so somebody answered. Did that answer the question? I don't know.
That
Oh,
was
there's more
amazing
stuff.
question.
There's more stuff. So there is 6
Okay.
coins that you can give your players. These are gold coins from the Hoard with Ghaundal, like his face on the gold coin. There's a Mammoth pin, which we're very excited. We haven't got that yet, but that will be really cool. There's the Foundry conversion. There's the all digital assets like the VTT tokens and all the battle maps. There's amazing battle maps. We've collaborated with a bunch of fantastic cartographers, which we love. Paper minis, the magic items, everything we've mentioned before, and of course the STLs for 3D printing. Everything's pre-supported. We've test printed everything multiple times. We have 1,500 patrons and tribers that also print tested, so they tell us when we fuck up, and we have, just from the sheer amount that we've made, but we've also corrected everything. And if there is, we're always there to try. We kind of go pretty seriously and go back and like rescale things and correct supports, and we really care about our backlog, if that makes sense. And then there's Kickstarter 1, which is what I just showed, and everything that came with that. You can check our previous Kickstarter. In the Pledge Manager, there will be an option to get these books as well. So if you're
Nice.
into the hardcover of the first book, you can also get that, or the rest of the stuff there. If you don't have to get the Mega Mammoth to do that.
I
Yes.
think that is great, because that also nicely connects to a last question, which I asked you to keep a bit shorter, which is like dates of when people can expect things, like especially the digital things, so the STLs and the PDFs versus the physical, so the books and the physical minis.
That's a great question. So, we've it's such a typical thing with Kickstarters that people say, like, we'll release it really quickly, and then it takes longer than they think because of things beyond their control. And it's exactly what happened to us on our first Kickstarter. We're really trying to make sure that doesn't happen this time. We are on a more strict timeline for ourselves. However, because this Kickstarter has so much more products, it's nearly double the amount of minis. It's double. There's a hell of a lot more pages and stuff like that. And because we're also shifting some of the adventures, some adventures were a certain level and we're moving them to other levels, we're correcting the text, and we don't want the situation where we release the PDFs and then people get not the finished product, if that makes sense. So basically, I think the STLs will come first. I'm not sure exactly when. I hope that should happen pretty quickly. Maybe, dare I say, within the year. I don't see. I think yes, because like I said, we have
That
them.
sounds very feasible. Yeah.
Yes, that's definitely feasible. We're just gonna double check that they're all good, and then the PDFs for the individual adventures I think will come second. I also hope within the year, but that could be January or end of January. And then the full PDF that includes also the campaign setting guide and all the extra bits and bobs that are exclusive for the Kickstarter PDF and the Kickstarter book, that should come, I hope, January, February, maybe March, while we're already sending that to production, to the mass production, depending on how many books. We know that the pledge manager, there are two pledge managers. I think that's important to say. There is the digital pledge manager where you get the PDFs, sorry, the STLs for the 3D printing. So if you're interested in that, that's going to be through My Mini Factory. You're going to get all your stuff in My Mini Factory. If you're not interested in STLs, you can get all your stuff through BackerKit, which is fantastic.
Yes.
And we're hoping, so we know we're going to keep the BackerKit open for at least 2 months. We're not sure exactly on pricing and what will be there and what won't be there. But we're figuring that out at the moment. And yeah, and we're really hoping, yeah, the production thing. Again, this is the first time we're doing dice. This is the first time we're doing a DM screen. First time we're doing boxes. So, and we're making so many things. It will take. It will. We want to make sure we get it right. So,
Yeah.
if you've been in our first Kickstarter, you would know that we made sure you got the product and that it's great and that it looks good and that it's safe. And there's a lot of things to make here, so might take a bit of time
Yeah.
because if you do something not well, then it hunts you forever.
Yeah, because for that first book, we didn't take compromises whenever possible. We wanted to give the best product, and we're like, if it takes another month, if we need to change things, let's change it. Let's make the book as good as possible.
Exactly. That being said, I should state that again, most of everything has been written and has been playtested and is kind of ready to go and has been. We know that it's good. We're just making sure that all the NPCs and all the character cards, and when we release everything, right? So it's yeah, it's gonna come. I don't know. I hope the first half of 2024. That's my hope, at least when we'll start getting stuff and then start shipping stuff around that time.
Nice.
But it could take longer because if it's production in China and shipping from China, it just takes time sometime. Yeah.
Well, with that, 2 more days to go for the
2 more
Hoard of
days.
Ghaundal. Let's see what the future brings. Thanks so much for all of you being here, all the great questions. If there are any other questions, I've posted a link to our Discord. Always feel free to hop on. We're always there and try to answer as quickly as possible. Is there anything else from you two, Dan and Dav?
No. Yeah, feel free to ask questions. Also in the Kickstarter updates or whatnot. Yeah, very excited to wrap up this campaign.
In that case, rampage on.
Woohoo!
Bye-bye.
See you around, people.